My name is H.A. Goodman, and I'm an author, columnist, and journalist. Nobody is saying that the deep state is controlling Judge Kimball Wood in order to hurt Trump. I'm not saying that. I don't believe in some grand conspiracy of unknown individuals. Oh, Lord, not again. What is this? Stupid. All right, when I was on my soapbox, the ad pops up. Fantastic. I don't believe in some conspiracy of unknown individuals. I do believe in Peter Strzok's text message saying that we cannot take the risk of a Trump presidency. Therefore, we must discuss the insurance policy that we spoke of in Andrew McCabe's office. So that's not a deep state conspiracy that can't be proven. There are text messages from the number 2 counterintelligence officer that not only talk about an insurance policy and that they can't take the risk of Trump being elected. This is a text message that he wrote, that Lisa Page and Peter Strzok wrote. I don't believe in a conspiracy of unknown people. I believe in, if there happens to be a conspiracy of individuals that are outed, that exist, that actually wrote text messages talking about we cannot take the risk, using the word risk, of a Trump presidency. That means something. Now, Judge Kimball Wood, the judge who basically allowed attorney-client privilege to just be torn to shreds and denied Michael Cohen and President Trump's request to just filter through what's privileged information between attorney and client. Notice the difference, and see, again, I'm going to read you a Snopes article before I start with any of this. I'll just read you. Who is Kimball Wood? Judge on Cohen case officiated Soros wedding, was Clinton AG pick. So this is a Fox News article. There are other articles. Federal judge who handed Trump and Michael Cohen a sit-back. Hold on one second. Judge in Michael Cohen's case officiated George Soros' wedding. Okay. Does this mean that Soros personally pulled the strings regarding the decision? No. No, it doesn't. And conversely, simply speaking to Sergei Kislyak, didn't mean that Sessions or General Flynn were part of some Russian hacking, which never took place. So the conspiracy theories on the Democratic Party side, they're rampant. But I'll get you... This is a very touchy subject because what the left has tried to do is censor and condemn anyone for speaking about topics and conflicts of interest that don't favor that don't favor Republicans and that actually help Democrats. Those conflicts of interest are automatically linked and tied and correlated to the most absurd theories. But Loretta Lynch speaking to Bill Clinton on a plane about golf and Brexit, that's completely and utterly rational. No one discusses that. And if Snopes or factcheck.org, they touch it, they're walking on eggshells when they address that issue. But here, Business Insider, not a right-wing publication. The judge presiding over the Michael Cohen case was once in the running to be Bill Clinton's attorney general, trained to be a Playboy bunny. Interesting. And officiated George Soros' wedding. Okay, so she's very likely a Democrat and leans, well, she's almost certainly a Democrat because she was in the running for Bill Clinton's attorney general. And she officiated George Soros' wedding, and he is a very well-known Democratic Party fundraiser. If the tables were turned and a judge that hurt Clinton in some manner was linked to a Republican Party fundraiser, or let's say linked to Newt Gingrich or Sean Hannity or anybody on the right that Democrats think are completely biased. That would be news. Simply speaking to Sergei Kislyak was a big problem. But I want to read you this Snopes article before. So I touched upon, and I'll get to Alan Dershowitz talking about how attorney-client privilege was just trampled upon. But I want to read you a Snopes article because essentially the Stormy Daniels judge, the judge that sided with Stormy Daniels and essentially the Democratic Party over President Trump and Michael Cohen, that judge has ties to Soros and ties to Bill Clinton. Now, that doesn't mean that Soros and Bill Clinton pulled the strings. It means that she could have been biased. That is a logical progression of thought. What is illogical and irrational is to say that you spoke to Sergei Kislyak, therefore you must recuse yourself, Jeff Sessions. Or General Flynn spoke to Sergei Kislyak, therefore he should not be National Security Advisor. Or Trump worked with Russia, but we don't have any evidence, and the only evidence we have is the Steele dossier, and the Steele dossier has led to BuzzFeed suing the DNC because it doesn't have evidence corroborating what it published. And oh, by the way, James Comey used the Steele dossier as evidence to spy on Carter Page for a FISA warrant. The FISA judge just signed off on it as evidence, even though it was purchased by by Hillary Clinton. No conflicts there. But I want to read you this and get this out of the way, because what Democrats have done is that they've tried to either criminalize or demonetize or marginalize legitimate discussion and paint that legitimate discussion as conspiracy, dangerous conspiracy. Whereas Loretta Lynch speaking with Bill Clinton is just fine. There's no conflicts there. About golf, sure, they're both talking about golf and Brexit. They couldn't use the telephone. They had to meet privately with no transcript. That's the original fake news story. That's why they use fake news. They came up with that euphemism because they engage in that so often. President Obama didn't know of the server. Really? Interesting. Not fake news, huh? He didn't know his Secretary of State was using a server that originally had an AT&T email account and then a Clinton email account. But let's just read this, okay? We can go on forever. I mean, how many... they destroyed Libya for the benefit of the Libyan people. That is also an insane theory or narrative. Was Sean Hannity outed as Michael Cohen's client by the deep state? Automatically what Snopes does, and this is and I'll link the Snopes article below. But what Snopes does is they come up with an outlandish premise, and they say that they come up with an outlandish premise that really nobody is stating. Nobody is stating that the deep state, the CIA, the NSA, if anything, the CIA and NSA are part of the swamp, the so-called swamp that's supposed to be drained. But nobody is saying that the deep state outed Michael Cohen. Okay, so this is regarding Kimball Wood. So nobody's saying outed Sean Hannity. What people are saying is very simple. Judge Kimball Wood could have been quite biased. That is not... Judges are human beings. And when you look at what Professor Alan Dershowitz stated regarding attorney-client privilege, it's not outlandish to say that the judge sided with Stormy Daniels, even though it was essentially an illegal raid. Michael Cohen has nothing, and Stormy Daniels have nothing to do with Trump Russia, the original mandate of the Mueller probe. Nobody has stated that categorically it's a conflict or crime under the Federal Election Commission to pay somebody that you had sex with who accepted the money and signed an NDA. How is that a crime? They say, well, it's a campaign contribution. If that's a campaign contribution, what's the $9 million funneled through Perkins Coie to purchase the Steele dossier from the Clinton campaign? Then you have $84 million that was supposed to go to down-ticket Democrats and a whole bunch of, the Democratic National Committee. That was funneled back into the Clinton campaign. That was just, today I did a segment on that, which is why, pick a crime, any crime, Clinton will eventually get indicted. You're talking about one of the biggest criminals in U.S. history, for sure. But I'll read you this. Was Sean Hannity outed as Michael Cohen's client by the deep state? No. He was just caught up in an illegal raid or an unethical raid that has nothing to do with the Mueller probe. So, shortly after revelations that the popular Fox News host was a client of President Trump's embattled attorney became public, deep state conspiracies theories spread. It's also important to understand one of the many excuses Democrats use, many excuses, is that people believed these irrational conspiracy theories and therefore they voted for Trump. Whereas when Hillary Clinton said that she used a private server for convenience and she deleted yoga emails, that was not a conspiracy, that was actually true. And then, of course, we had top secret and special access program intelligence transfer, this is a fact, from Cybernet, JWICs, and SCIFs and other locations where they reside, where they're supposed to stay always, out of the U.S. government onto an unencrypted server located in Clinton's basement for convenience and to store yoga emails. That is not a conspiracy to Snopes. So this is all a propaganda ploy. The Snopes and the factcheck.org, yes, they'll start with a premise, or they'll go ahead and they'll evaluate the semantics of someone's statement, and they're almost always going to lean towards Democratic Party talking points. But I tried my best to kind of give a background of this, but on April 16, 2018, a court hearing related to federal criminal investigation of President Donald Trump's personal attorney, Michael Cohen, took an unexpected twist when it emerged that Fox News host and frequent conspiracy theory cheerleader, Sean Hannity, was one of his clients. Now, the issue with Sean Hannity is that there is no conspiracy theory that he espouses. He'll ask a question or he'll discuss issues, and he will push a vantage point that's contrary to Rachel Maddow. So let's say there's, an unsolved murder. Simply questioning the official narrative it doesn't necessarily have to be a conspiracy theory. So I'll leave it at that. But in this case, Sean Hannity has nothing to do with Trump Russia. So the logical question is, why on earth is he part of this story now? Oh, because he's not objective. So he has a tie to Michael Cohen, but Judge Kimball Wood officiated George Soros' wedding. But she's okay. She's unbiased. She was in the running for Attorney General pick under Bill Clinton, but she's unbiased, don't you know? Sean Hannity, though, cannot discuss anything to do with Michael Cohen, even though George Stephanopoulos interviewed James Comey and kind of, tries to get smart with Sarah Huckabee Sanders, saying, well, do you really want to get into a credibility battle? And he gave $75,000 to the Clinton Foundation. And then you have Maggie Haberman of the New York Times in the WikiLeaks Podesta emails as a friendly journalist who teed up stories on behalf of the Clinton campaign. Maybe she didn't do so intentionally, but they utilized exactly her vantage points and her reporting to help them out. Isn't it interesting how she was a friendly journalist? What about the wonderful Glenn Thrush, who fell upwards? You know those football coaches. This is all with all due respect to Glenn Thrush, but those football coaches who they're have a 5-10 season, and suddenly they get a great job. It's like, what? So he went from Politico to the New York Times, and he told, this is in the Podesta emails. He said, "I'm a hack. Don't tell anyone I'm sending you this article pre-publication." To Podesta. I don't think he did that with Manafort or people in Bernie's campaign or Jill Stein's campaign. That you have massive media collusion. Debbie Wasserman Schultz calling Chuck Todd and saying this negative coverage has to end. Oh, but I'm sorry. Hannity spoke to Michael Cohen regarding either real estate or something. So therefore, he can't talk about the conflict of interests between CNN, MSNBC, The Washington Post, The New York Times, and then YouTube channels on YouTube. It's almost like there's one memo written every day, one queasy memo, and then everyone just repeats the talking points. And they all just happen to coincide with Democratic National Committee talking points or themes or analysis that is almost virtually the same. Well, can you believe that Comey interfered in the election by writing the Comey letter? Well, no. Actually, the reality is that too was a cover-up. In September, they knew of the laptop, and this is a profanity alert. Sorry, MSNBC, Snopes, factcheck.org, Washington Post, YouTube channels, New York Times, YouTube channels beholden to the CNN narrative. Sorry, a profanity alert. Sorry, it's not good to store dick photos with classified intelligence. There were 18 classified emails found on Anthony Weiner's laptop. The fact that Comey said, "Oh, we found in a week, we just read through it, there's nothing to worry about." And then later, after Trump is elected eventually, in November 8th, after 5, 6, 7 months after, or no, I think it was 10 months after, Judicial Watch finds 18 classified emails on the laptop. Let's not get started with Andrew McCabe lying under oath and his wife receiving $700,000 from Terry McAuliffe, who, by the way, was a Clinton money man and had his own FBI criminal investigation. But this is not, you see, these conflicts of interest are not relevant to Snopes. They're not relevant to people on the left. The only conflicts of interest relevant are fabricated, nonsensical ties to Russia, which, if that logic was utilized against the Clintons, they would have been indicted a long time ago. We already have an FBI informant saying that the Russians were bragging about their influence over the Clinton Foundation and Obama. We have money going into the Clinton Foundation. You have Snopes and others saying you can't prove anything, but there's a money trail. Whereas with the Steele dossier and allegations of just speaking to a Russian ambassador, oh my God, let's put two and two together, let's connect the dots, and suddenly it's like the guy from A Beautiful Mind with like the million different papers in the back house, like, you know, his mind is like working and da da da. So Democrats make extreme leaps of logic when it suits them. When it doesn't suit them, everyone else is a conspiracy theorist. But predictably, perhaps, this is Snopes, predictably, perhaps, news of Hannity's relationship with Trump's embattled lawyer prompted conspiracy trolls. You mean the same trolls to say that Cheryl Mills didn't know about the email server use by Clinton, which is why she eventually got her attorney-client privilege? She was granted attorney-client privilege, even though Cheryl Mills was one of the people who deleted emails. And then she lied and said, I didn't know of the server until everyone else did. But that's not a conspiracy, don't you know? That's not a conspiracy to Snopes or Fact Check or anyone else. But let's read. Okay, so predictably, perhaps, news of Hannity's relationship with Trump's embattled lawyer prompted conspiracy trolls to spread baseless stories that Hannity had been outed by the deep state. I don't know anyone who said that. And the deep state phrase was first utilized, if you look at Politico magazine in September published an article. Okay, so here you go. So hold on. Bill Moyers, I believe it was Bill Moyers. BillMoyers.com and Bill Moyers is amazing, published an essay, The Anatomy of the Deep State, by Mike Lofgren, who I don't believe is a Trump supporter at all. And this is an essay regarding the intelligence community and the NSA and a whole bunch of issues regarding activity and events or here's the article. And Bill Moyers is like respected journalist. There is a visible government situated around the mall in Washington, and then there is a more shadowy, more indefinable government that is not explained in Civics 101 or observable to tourists at the White House or the Capitol. The former is traditional Washington partisan politics. The tip of the iceberg that a public watching C-SPAN sees daily, and which is theoretically controllable via elections. The subsurface part of the iceberg I shall call the deep state, which operates according to its own compass, heading regardless of who is formally in power. And then he goes on to, has the visible constitutional state, the one envisaged by Madison and the other founders, finally begun to reassert itself against claims and usurpations of the deep state? To some extent, perhaps, the unfolding revelations of the scope of NSA's warrantless surveillance has become so egregious that even institutional apologists, such as Senator Dianne Feinstein, have begun to backpedal. Okay, so John Brennan lied under oath and spied on the Senate, which infuriated Dianne Feinstein. This is what the original, he might have coined the phrase deep state, but this is what the author of this essay on BillMoyers.com is referring to. But if you listen to Snopes or people in the Democratic Party that just, oh my God, deep state, huh? They want, they exist in life simply to marginalize any rational discussion or viewpoint. I'll leave this article below. Bill Moyers is like a national treasure. His website is definitely not devoted, and he's actually a timeline Russia and President Trump. So they're actually pushing the Democratic Party's fabricated conspiracy theories. But, and I don't know if this gentleman was interviewed. He might have been interviewed by so this is Mike Lofgren, very respected guy. He's a former career congressional staff member who served on the House and Senate Budget Committees. His latest book, The Deep State, The Fall of the Constitution and the Rise of the Shadow Government. He's appeared several times as a guest on Moyers and Company. Mike Lofgren is an extremely respected individual. And I say this because, I like his writing, actually. He's really great. But he doesn't like Trump. I don't believe he's a fan of Trump. I do not believe Mr. Lofgren is a fan of President Trump. Yet I believe he coined the phrase deep state. So tell me again, Snopes, how that phrase, that euphemism, is this big, horrendous problem for everyone, who's a fan of logic and reason. Let's just go and continue. So, however, so the news came after Hannity had for days railed against the Federal Bureau of Investigation raid on Cohen's home. It wasn't just Hannity. You will see that it was Alan Dershowitz and it's other people, Joseph DeGeneva, it's other people that are extremely respected and have a difference of opinion. Home and hotel room and execution of search warrants the previous week. Hannity did not disclose to his audience that Cohen was also his attorney. So what? This what's so funny too? This journalism today is hilarious. So what they'll do is, and I have journalist friends who'll do this, and they have to do it, or it's protocol, but writing a hit piece on somebody, or if somebody's writing a hit piece on me, which is what took place numerous times, sometimes they'll reach out to you. I want to get your thoughts on this. Yeah, you're writing a hit piece to try to disparage me. You don't care about my thoughts, and if I were to tell you my thoughts, you'd spin them in every direction away from my original intent in speaking with you. So it's so stupid. So whether Hannity said, oh yeah, Michael Cohen's my attorney or not, you don't think he would have been extremely partisan? Why didn't George Stephanopoulos say, by the way, I gave $75,000 to the Clinton Foundation, and I'm going to speak to Comey now. I'm going to interview Comey. Why doesn't Anderson Cooper say, yeah, you know what, CNN has ties to the Clinton Global Initiative, and so do I, but oh, by the way, I'm going to interview Stormy Daniels. You never hear Anderson Cooper disclose his possible conflicts of interest, do you? You certainly didn't hear direct conflicts of interest with George Stephanopoulos. So, and when Glenn Thrush writes an article, he doesn't always say, oh, by the way, I was within the Podesta emails as somebody who communicated with. No, if anything, he's like, I made an edit. He doubled down. He defended himself, but who calls themselves a hack? It doesn't make any sense, with all due respect to Glenn Thrush, who's actually a good writer. Michael Cohen has never represented me in any manner. I never retained him, received invoice, or paid legal fees. So then, so it's hilarious. So they list a statement, which basically Hannity says, look, I didn't really have to disclose anything because he never represented me. I was never really his client. I asked him some quick questions regarding some issues. And he goes, Hannity frequently traffics the deep state conspiracy theory on his show. And internet hucksters quickly picked up the trail. So tell me again how Snopes is this fantastic, amazing, objective. Internet hucksters? You mean the same hucksters who, I don't know, Brian Pagliano, who didn't show up to subpoena? Or what? I mean, give me... How many lies? You mean the internet hucksters of the Clinton campaign, like Brian Fallon and Robbie Mook, who said that it was a security review? And we just found out from The Hill categorically, and other publications, that categorically Clinton was the target of a criminal probe that actually had a crime linked to a legal statute, that she was the target of committing they were investigating her for committing crimes. They are not investigating Trump for committing crimes. Notice the poor Dutch lawyer. If there's one person who embodies the insanity and the absurdity of the Mueller probe, it's the poor Dutch lawyer. We went from Russian hackers to Dutch lawyers. That's how... This is a profanity alert. Do not listen if you don't want to hear profanity. We went from, get those fucking Russian lawyers, to, you know what, we can't get the Russians? Fuck the Dutch lawyers. What? What did the Dutch lawyers do? Fuck the Dutch lawyers, we're going to get them no matter what. But it's about Russian hackers. We'll get them later. We got to get the low-hanging fruit, the Dutch attorneys. This is the insanity, the hilarious, sad, dark comedy. Like, it's almost like Woody Allen had like an acid trip and started the Mueller probe. And suddenly now they're going after the Internet Research Agency because there was a Facebook ad of Jesus arm wrestling Satan, and that swung the election. So Trump is not the subject and not the target, and nobody has even accused him of a crime. Clinton should have been charged under a crime, but guess what? Snopes is never going to discuss, which was in The Hill, the fact that Peter Strzok deleted 5 references to gross negligence. And what right, by the way, did James Comey have to usurp Loretta Lynch's authority or to undermine Loretta Lynch's authority? It was the Attorney General's call to say whether the government the DOJ should prosecute Clinton or not. It wasn't James Comey's decision. That's why he was fired. Very simple. Anyway, Hannity frequently traffics the deep state conspiracy theory on his show. Well, no, it's not a conspiracy theory when you have text messages showing hatred, not just biased, hatred, and discussing the risk of a Trump presidency and insurance policy. These are words that Peter Strzok and Lisa Page typed on their phones. So Snopes is not addressing this. And sometimes they do good work. Sometimes, most of the time, it's just pure DNC, spin and talking points. And internet hucksters quickly picked up on the trail, producing a stream of baseless stories that spread, as usual, via disreputable websites and social media trolls. You mean like MSNBC or CNN when Chris Cuomo said it's illegal to download WikiLeaks? Isn't that funny? It's illegal to read WikiLeaks. Oh, okay. It's okay. But it's not illegal to read 538 that said if you want absurd specificity, we give Trump a 2% chance of winning the GOP nomination. Meanwhile, I was saying that not only he was going to win the nomination, but he was going to defeat Clinton if it was Clinton. I stated that in 2015 in the Hill, the Huffington Post, and Salon. For example, the Gateway Pundit, an unreliable site, currently being sued for defamation after accusing an innocent person of being a suspect accused of killing a counter-protester. Okay, And Charlottesville published story. Okay, headline: breaking. Sean Hannity responds after Deep State alleges he was Michael Cohen's third client. All right, so they took exception to the alt-right Twitter troll. So not just the headline. So just the headline alone, no critique of the actual article, but the headline was an egregious headline, very offensive. Alt-right Twitter troll Jack Prosobic. Alt-right? The interesting thing is, and they're going to get to rightwingwatch.com, but none of the people at Right Wing Watch or Snopes ever debated Richard Spencer. I did. None of them actually exposed the very, very dangerous extension of his ideology, which is literally, he stated that, genocide. He stated that his theoretical state would engage in the forcible removal and possible genocide or mass killing of people. And he alluded that he did not state that verbatim, but he alluded to that the last 22 minutes of our debate, because I opposed his ideology. But I used words and logic and reason to oppose his ideology. I didn't just stand on this soapbox of Hillary Clinton calling black youth super predators, but oh my God, I'm a registered Democrat, so I'm morally superior. And he's a Nazi, enabler, white nationalist, Nazi, We can't speak to him. And therefore just condemn without any reasonable civil debate, exposing his ideology, the dangers of his ideology. I don't need a Right Wing Watch or Snopes or social justice warriors on Twitter to be the moral police. If I want to go ahead and confront an ideology I don't like, I use my brain and I use my own value system to counter that ideology, which is what I did during the Richard Spencer debate. Obviously, people who, like Mr. Spencer, disagreed with me, thought I lost the debate, but people who agreed with me have my value system, which is, interestingly enough, the same value system, more or less, than the people at Snopes or Right Wing Watch or the Democratic Party regarding Spencer's ideology. We all agree it's crazy. We all agree it can lead to horrible, My problem has always been with semantics. People say you're a Nazi enabler. These are white nationalists. Well, yeah, he does exist, but the concept doesn't exist. So, perhaps I might have been wrong on Twitter when I said there are no such things as white nationalists. What I meant, yes, there are such things, but what I meant it's the notion that you could just have a white country is nonsensical and will never happen. You cannot. There is no country in the world that's purely anything, and the white nationalist ideology, they don't even know what white is. They don't even know yet who would entail white. So, I mean, there's a whole lot of issues, but I guess a long tangent, but in my debate with Richard Spencer, it was civil, and there was a discussion, and in the last 22 minutes, I exposed and I believe I defeated him in the debate. But see, it's not all the Snopes and all the right-wing watch, which I'll get to in a second, all the people on the left, all they do is they're just conspiracy theorists, enablers, and they just rely on euphemisms. So the white nationalists didn't exist under Obama, but suddenly they do exist. The white nationalists weren't a problem under Obama, but suddenly they are a problem. Oh, they're emboldened by Trump. No, Spencer doesn't like Trump. So, or he doesn't. Let's put it this way: he uses. There's a lot of things he does in terms of propaganda. At one point he likes Trump. Now he doesn't like Trump. He utilizes Slate. The only reason I know who Mr. Spencer is because of Slate. So he's extremely intelligent in terms of utilizing the hysterical nature of left-wing politics for publicity. But anyway, I can go on forever about it. Unsurprisingly, of course, no article in Snopes is complete without a reference to Alex Jones. Unsurprisingly, Alex Jones' conspiracy network Infowars quickly followed suit with paranoid reporting that conflated two unrelated events. In 2013, Judge Kimball Wood officiated Soros' wedding. The relation to her decision to just ignore the attorney-client privilege was that there's a bias there. So Soros is a huge Democratic Party fundraiser and gives to liberal causes hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. But anyway, 5 years later, she presided over Cohen's hearing in which Hannity was named as his client. This was presented as shadowy malfeasance by Jones and his ilk, who apparently believe Soros is an all-powerful puppeteer who, despite every indication to the contrary, controls the world. So I don't know if they're quoting, the U.S. District Judge who ordered Trump's lawyer, Michael Cohen, to identify Sean Hannity had officiated billionaire George Soros' wedding in 2013. So what Snopes does, they acknowledge that Judge Kimball Wood officiated the non-denominational wedding between Soros and his third wife in Bedford, New York. Suddenly, Wood's decision to force Cohen to disclose his client becomes clear. Again, I don't know if they're quoting Infowars, but that's the same logical train of thought, A plus B equals C, as Sessions spoke to Sergei Kislyak, and then Sessions is now implicated in Russian hacking, and Sessions is implicated in Russian collusion. Simply speaking to Sergei Kislyak does not mean that he's implicated in Russian collusion, but people did, so that's why they made him recuse himself. Same thing with General Flynn. Same thing with the Steele dossier that is completely not only unverified, BuzzFeed is suing the DNC. None of the claims have been verified, and if anything, Michael Cohen is suing BuzzFeed. But Jared Holt, a writer for Right Wing Watch, a website operated by the liberal advocacy nonprofit group People for the American Way, which tracks and monitors right-wing extremist rhetoric, told us the deep state theme was ready-made for news about Hannity. But the deep state theme I showed you already was an article in BillMoyers.com in 2014, and it was a book written about it by a person who is extremely respected, who is not a Trump fan. I don't believe Moyers or the book on the deep state or the article regarding the deep state in 2014 in BillMoyers.com has anything to do with the right wing. But see, Right Wing Watch, Snopes, these are the moral arbiters, but they won't get in the ring and debate Richard Spencer like I will. I have a viewpoint. I actually, it's funny, the people at Right Wing Watch or Snopes, they agree with me that we disagree with racism, or we oppose racism, we oppose Richard Spencer's ideology, but only one of us, me, actually debated Richard Spencer, and every step of the way pointed out the flaws in his logic or reasoning or whatever. They're too, this is a profanity alert, well, I won't say, they don't have the courage, let's say, in my humble view, to do that. But Jared Holt, a writer for Right Wing Watch, a website operated by liberal, said, every single night on Sean Hannity's program, there's some kind of talk about the deep state in one form or another. It's used as a sort of bludgeon to discredit any federal investigation into the goings-on of the Trump campaign and his associates. Yes, the federal investigation there should be no investigation. Comey's memos started an investigation based on high to moderate confidence of the CIA and NSA. The DNC never gave its computer service to the FBI. CrowdStrike was purchased to go ahead and corroborate or to look at the DNC service. CrowdStrike should not be anywhere near U.S. foreign policy or influencing U.S. foreign policy. The Steele dossier was purchased also by the DNC and Hillary Clinton. So tell me again how Mueller, it's been a year, who's the conspiracy theorist here? Who's bludgeoning this insane notion that Trump worked with Russia to win the election, when in 2015, me, H.A. Goodman, I was writing in The Hill, I was a Hill contributor, I was in the Huffington Post, published over 200 times there, and Salon and the Huffington Post, left wing. I was saying that Clinton could not win, she would lose because of favorability ratings, a whole lot of other issues. I was saying she would lose to Trump. In The Hill, I wrote why Clinton defeats Trump, but why Sanders defeats Trump, but Trump defeats Clinton. That's one of my many articles talking about how Clinton loses to Trump. I didn't need Russian operatives because I didn't have any. There was no Russian internet trolls at that time, and even the internet trolls, Jesus versus Satan on Facebook, isn't going to sway votes. With like a tiny, microscopic, overall scheme of things, budget. The conspiracy theorists are the people who think Russia knew which swing states to target. But it's almost a natural fit that the deep state conspiracy theories that he's putting forward eventually got applied to his own case. What you keep saying conspiracy theories, but you don't explain. Sean Hannity actually talks about Peter Strzok's texts. Sean Hannity talks about Bruce and Nellie Orr at the DOJ. Sean Hannity talks about Fusion GPS meeting with Natalia Veselnitskaya before and after her meeting with Trump Jr. So tell me why there are all these ties, connections, what Democrats use, between the official narratives of the Democratic Party and Fusion GPS, Glenn Simpson, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, Bruce and Nellie Orr. It's not a conspiracy about them. They actually wrote, in their own words, a tiny bit of research, and you can see that text messages show hatred of Trump and an insurance policy, and not talking about a risk. Just a little bit of research on Peter Strzok. He deleted 5 references to gross negligence, which relates directly to U.S. Code 793F of the Espionage Act. Clinton did not use a private server for convenience. That is a lie. Clinton did not delete yoga emails. You don't write 33,000 yoga emails. So again, the deep state conspiracy. Then they go on. The deep state conspiracy theory posits that the hand of the shadow government controls all. See, again, what they do is they make a caricature of the people they don't like. So it's not just Snopes. And by the way, I'm reading a Snopes article, but it's the same mentality. It doesn't have to be Snopes. It could be any. They make a caricature, they make a broad generalization, and then they counter what the image they've created, not necessarily countering specific arguments of Sean Hannity or anyone else. The deep state conspiracy theory posits that the hand of the shadow government controls all. But Andrew McCabe his wife did receive $700,000 from. There is $10 billion that's missing from the Clinton Foundation raising that money for Haiti. This is a fact. Where did the money go? You first have to start with an acknowledgement of certain facts. Bill and Hillary Clinton, after the earthquake in Haiti in 2010, had subsidiary organizations. I interviewed Haitian-born journalist Daddy Cherry. These organizations eventually raised $10 billion. Only 3%, according to Charles Rotel and Daddy Cherry, were given to actual charities. The people of Haiti are waiting for the money. What about the UBS issue. Rudy Giuliani talked about that. But that's an Atlantic article. The Atlantic talks about the UBS quid pro quo issue with Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton and the Clinton Foundation. So is the Atlantic now a right-wing publication? What about Andrew Perez and David Sirota and the weapons deal scandal and money flowing into the Clinton Foundation? And then suddenly these countries get exponentially greater weapons deals. Is that a conspiracy theory too? Is everything a conspiracy theory that just Snopes or Right Wing Watch or the Democratic Party or Brian Fallon disagree with, or Hillary Clinton? If you disagree with Hillary Clinton, are you then automatically part of this, nonsensical, irrational? I just listed the Atlantic, the International Business Times with the weapons deal scandal, Peter Strzok's own text messages. I mean, you don't have to, a modicum of research, and all of this kind of, then of course they bring up Pizzagate. Okay, so yeah, this is the thing with the Pizzagate or, the QAnon or whatever. I mean, there are good people who believe in that stuff. I do not believe in it. But to believe in anything that Snopes finds reprehensible, this did not sway the election. People generally, voters who think that Podesta is capable of those crimes aren't voters who were like, gee, I'm going to vote. Am I going to vote Clinton or Trump? I just don't know. They already hate Clinton. They already dislike Clinton. So it's not like, and when people are like, yeah, you know what, I don't trust her, they don't just suddenly come to that conclusion because of Pizzagate or whatever. She had the same favorability ratings in 2015 as Trump, almost the same, and I pointed that out. This was long before the Pizzagate narrative or the conspiracy theory. This was long before all of that. She had lied about surviving Bosnian sniper fire. Could you imagine what they would do to Trump if he said he survived Bosnia, any sniper fire? They would talk about the Big Macs he eats. How could you survive Bosnian sniper fire? You're too big and fat. What are you gonna do? Twirl around and like Rambo. Oh my God! They would not. But with Clinton, it's like hush, hush, don't talk about it. She lies about everything. Oh, hyperbole. That's a little bit of hyperbole. Fact check or Snopes. Relax. She lies about a lot. There's like 13 minutes on YouTube of Clinton lying. She did not survive Bosnian sniper fire, and she did not use a server for convenience. And Loretta Lynch did not. The reasoning for that meeting was not golf breaks and grandchildren. And oh, by the way, James Comey lied. We already know Andrew McCabe lied under oath. We know John Brennan lied under oath. We know James Clapper lied under oath, committed perjury. All three of the intelligence chiefs committed perjury. James Comey lied, and one of his hilarious lies is that he was asked by a congressman, well, why didn't you interview Anthony Weiner to see if he actually saw the classified intelligence? This is a profanity alert. Please do not listen if you don't want to hear profanity. Why didn't you interview Anthony Weiner regarding the classified intelligence that he stored along photos of his dick? Because what took place was he was sexting photos of himself, and classified intelligence was sent there by Hillary Clinton through Huma Abedin. And James Comey said, well, he had pending criminal problems. We didn't want to. So the assumption, or he tried to insinuate that he didn't want to get involved with the pending criminal problems. Because, the FBI doesn't want to make things. They only go after Dutch lawyers and ruin their lives. They don't want to, pile on. The guy's having a bad day already. He's been sexting everybody on the planet pictures of his wiener. He's having a bad day. Leave him alone. So James Comey said, well, he has a pending criminal probe. We weren't able to speak with him. Lie. Under oath. It's stupid. That's stupid. Then another deceptive comment. And this is also a lie, but it's a version of deception that maybe he could get away with and not get perjury charges. Oh, well, if Bob and Mary had their own private server at the FBI, they would certainly be experiencing disciplinary action. Oh, gee, golly gee, evil Jimmy Stewart. You think? Would this come before or after the arrest? If you are anyone not named Clinton, if you transfer any intelligence, classified, confidential, secret, or top secret, which, by the way, Hillary Clinton, another thing that Snopes would never check. So let me just get out of the Snopes thing. So how does this discussion about Kimball Wood get into this? Well, another thing that Snopes... Could you imagine if they asked Trump, after he owned a private server, which, by the way, they would say that he was committing treason. Hillary Clinton literally owned a private server, and nobody had access to it, and nobody knew what she wrote in 33,000 deleted emails. Nobody had any clue what she wrote. She says it's yoga. But if Trump deleted half an email, they would say it was a love letter to Putin for collusion and treason. If he deleted half an email, they would say there was, oh my God, he was going to do something, impeach. But when Peter Strzok had brunch with Hillary and they're just relaxing, and this was already, and then James Comey's another the biggest liar on the planet. He's like, well, I knew where it was heading. Then why did you go ahead and begin the probe to begin with? You knew from the initial she wasn't even going to give her computer service. She's like, no, they stay with me. Could you imagine if the FBI wanted your computer and you're like, no, it stays with me. That they would shove your face in the wall and it'd be like Mission Impossible. They'd come down and with their guns and everything. But she told Strzok that, the C didn't mean confidential. She didn't know what it meant. She thought it meant casserole or catnip. She didn't know in decades and decades, her whole life in government. Hillary Clinton did not know that the C meant confidential. And the FBI believed that. They're fine. Just believe that. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. The whole point of this never-ending YouTube segment, and I will put not a right-wing publication. This is Business Insider. And I put the Snopes article below. No offense to Snopes, but there's such extreme bias with Snopes. It's unbelievable. And everything is spun to... There needs to be a Snopes for Snopes. But I'll just leave you with this, okay? This is not a conspiracy theorist. They wouldn't dare call Alan Dershowitz a conspiracy theorist because he is extremely, extremely respected. But here's Alan Dershowitz.
And this may be an attempt to squeeze Cohen. He's the lawyer. He's the guy who knows all the facts about Donald Trump, and to get him to turn against his client. Look, this is a very dangerous day today for lawyer-client relations. I deal with clients all the time. I tell them on my word of honor.
This is a very dangerous day for lawyer-client relations. A very dangerous day. Was there any mention of the deep state? Alan Dershowitz is a liberal. He was on the board of the ACLU. So it's interesting that Snopes doesn't address this.
That what you tell me is sacrosanct. And now they say, just based on probable cause, even though this was cooperation with Cohen, they can burst into the office, grab all the computers, and then give it to another FBI agent and say, you're the firewall. We want you now to read all these confidential communications, tell us which ones we can get and which ones we can't get. If this were the shoe on the other foot, if this were Hillary Clinton being investigated and they went into her lawyer's office, the ACLU would be on every television station in America jumping up and down.
So what was that? Who is he speaking to? The deep state conspiracy theorists, irrational, Alex Jones type? No, it's Sean Hannity. Alan Dershowitz is making a very wonderful point. If it's the ACLU, if the shoe was on the other foot, they would cry, oh my God, it'd be indignation.
The deafening silence of the ACLU and civil libertarians about the intrusion into the lawyer-client confidentiality is really appalling. What about it? Trump.
The deafening silence is appalling. And tell me again how this is some kind of deep state narrative. Tell me again how any viewpoint to the contrary of Judge Kimball Wood is this amazing, type of propaganda. The issue here is that there are two sets of laws, one for Republicans and one for Democrats. And I say this, I'm a registered Democrat. Clinton didn't get her lawyers didn't get raided, and they actually committed a crime, deleting 33,000 emails when those emails can actually contain top secret or special access program intelligence, and they got top secret clearance for a reason. They were able to get clearance simply to delete the emails. This was prior to retroactive classification. They deleted the emails in 2014. In 2015, the CIA, the National Geospatial Agency, all of these agencies then retroactively classified, most of them. But there was 22 top secret and special access program intelligence and 110 email chains that were born classified, not retroactively classified. Give me your thoughts below and go on forever. Judge Kimball Wood has ties to Soros, a Democratic Party fundraiser. Big time. That's like an understatement. I think it's rational to say, oh yeah, she was biased. And that's where it comes to. She was biased. That's it. Very simple. Not like some kind of conspiracy theory. Give me your thoughts below. Share this segment everywhere and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you so much for listening.